Alright, so welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my god, the previous video, the feedback was awesome. I got a couple of comments, some of them were really cool, some of them were just like, yeah, would play, 10 out of 10. But I got 20 likes and 4 dislikes on that video. And that means that more people would play it. Okay, which is good. I'm doing something okay, 20 people decided based on what I have said in the video that, yeah, this game might be worth trying out, which is good. Now, 4 people decided that it's not worth trying out. And I know this sounds horrible, but we don't care about those 4 people. Okay, we don't want to please those 4 people because we have 20. 20 is more than 4. Okay, and if we try to please those 4, we might lose a couple of guys from 20. So instead of having 20 that like and 4 that dislike, we might get those 4, but we might lose 7. So suddenly, instead of having 20, we have 17. That's not great. So we don't care about those 4 people, and we just care about those 20. And today, I want to talk about the classes, and I want to talk about the combat. Because, that's very important. Picking a class and the class being actually satisfying. You need good combat, you need good character design. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. And once again, the rules are the same. If you like what I'm describing and you would actually play the game, give me a like. And if you just don't like it and you wouldn't give a toss about my game, give me a dislike. No hard feelings, just give me a dislike. I just want to know if the game I am trying to make up in my head is good or bad, and I need feedback from you. And let's start off with classes, because classes are very important. We can talk about races and stuff like that later, but let's start with classes. And actually, rather than having 11 classes like WoW, I would prefer fewer classes, because in WoW, if you make a mage, that mage is pretty much the same mage from level 1 to level 90. He just gets more stuff. That character isn't growing as a mage. He's the same guy. And the specialization is basically, are you using Fire, Frost, or Arcane? That's not that exciting. It's just a mage. Nothing, exciting, as I've said. So what I would like to do is to, basically put the classes together, and instead of having a warlock, priest, and a mage, I would just like to have a wizard that can specialize into healing, throwing fireballs and frost bolts, and into dark magic, so you can be kind of necromancer-y kind of thing, and you can do crazy stuff. Of course, we would bring the old talent system back that used to be in WoW, because it's awesome and it allows you to splash into different talent trees. And instead of the talent trees having the most random and boring bullshit, basically passive cooldown reduction, and maybe now and then there is an ability, but it's not that exciting. Instead of having this passive bollocks, you have abilities. And the further you go into that tree, or the deeper you go into a specific tree, the better the abilities are. So what you can do is you can pretty much cherry pick which abilities you want. Of course, you are limited by the number of talent points that you get, but you can cherry pick which abilities you get, and you can basically create a spell set that suits you. Now, obviously, there will be a website that has the perfect healing setup, or perfect DPS setup, or perfect tanking setup, but who am I to tell someone that their mage that has buffs and can summon minions is wrong, that he shouldn't play that way? If someone wants to take a mage and splashes into dark magic to summon minions, splashes into the holy tree or whatever to have some heals and buffs, and then uses the rest of the points to go into the wizard tree to actually throw fireballs at something, that's his choice. I just want to give as much power to the players as possible. Okay? I don't want to restrict players in picking their class, because it's their, character. It's none of my bloody business. I designed the game, I balanced the game. I am not their mum to tell them that this talent is wrong. And to wrap it up very quickly, so in the beginning, this is the very beginning of the class system, okay? We have 3 very generic classes. We have the bash you in the face warrior, we have the stab you in the back rogue, and we have, I'm gonna throw a fire elemental in your face mage or wizard. And let's just say that in the beginning they will have 3 separate talent trees. There might be more trees or classes, I'm gonna think about it a bit more. But let's just say we have a warrior which has the obvious bunker tank defensive style tree. Then we have the obvious berserker tree when you're spinning around with two massive axes or something like that. And then you have sort of a divine tree where, you know, that's kind of paladin-y. You have a couple of heals, maybe some holy abilities. And once again, you can basically be a tank that has a couple of healing abilities, so you can kind of sustain yourself, but not really. You still need a healer. Then we have the rogue. We can have the basic, stab you in the back with a dagger, talent tree. Then we can have a ranger tree where you can have a bow and kind of do things. And then we have, let's just say, a monk style tree where you can have a couple of heals here and there, but you're mostly specializing in punching things in the face. And then we have the wizard, which has the holy tree, which is for healing, let's just say. The standard wizard tree, you know, throwing fireballs in your face. And then dark magic, which is sort of warlocky / necromancer-y kind of stuff. And that's the very basic, you know, class design we have. Let's talk about the combat. And we want to keep the good old WoW combat, okay? I don't want to make mistakes, okay? If we go full on Guild Wars 2 and we can cast everything on the move, there is no feedback for the abilities and casters become a bit too overpowered, which we then need to compensate with melee DPS doing more damage. And I don't want to do that, okay? So I don't want everything to be usable while moving. I want more abilities than WoW has. You know, I don't think World of Warcraft, aside from Hunters, has enough abilities that can be used on the move by casters. And I don't want to go to the other extreme, which is Dungeons and Dragons Online or Neverwinter, whatever it's called. You can't move while using anything. Now that has the perk of the combat being very meaty, heavy, and you have great feedback, but it feels clunky, okay? So a good kind of balance. WoW kinda has it, but I think you need more abilities that are usable on the move by all classes, you know, not just hunters. You know, hunters have too much movement, and something like a boomkin, you know, you have no movement if you don't have gear. So we kind of want to balance it out, and definitely more abilities that are usable on the move than World of Warcraft has. So we have the basic combat system. You know, the World of Warcraft combat system is very responsive. It doesn't feel clunky. It's perfect, you know. Don't fix what isn't broken. But what I would like to introduce is a sort of a chaining system or chain system where you can chain certain abilities together. Okay, Ion did something like this, you know, but not the way I'm imagining it. Okay, so it's something similar, but it's pretty, you know, it's very different. Let's just say. So I will try to explain this, and I think I can't explain this very well because I just don't have the vocabulary to do that, but I will try. And once again, we're gonna take a look at the mage or the wizard, because that's the one I thought about the most, you know, when I went out for a walk in the morning and yesterday when I was fixing the roof tiles and stuff. So the way this is gonna work is you're a wizard, okay? If you go down the mage tree where you're hurling fireballs or whatever, if you use a fireball, you know, your generic filler spell or the spell you use all the time, you have a choice. You know, if you use that, a choice will appear, and you can either follow that fireball with a bigger fireball, or you can follow it up with a fire blast that does AoE damage. And this presents constant choice. You know, it forces you to make choices, and I think that would liven up the combat system and it would make it feel less repetitive. Okay. In World of Warcraft, for instance, they're trying to make the combat less repetitive with adding procs. Okay, pretty much every class has a proc. Every class brings honor to family. Let's be racist for a while. Let's not do that. Okay, they are trying basically to liven up the combat with procs. So you're not just, you know, doing a rotation. Sometimes something procs, you're like, holy shit, I need to press this button now. But I don't think I need that in my game. I think this combo system or chain system would be much better. Now, where this all comes together, this is why I'm talking about classes and this combat system in one video, is yes, if you're a wizard, you can follow up a fireball with bigger fireball or fire blast for AoE damage. But if you ignore the third tree and you really commit to 2 trees without finishing either of them. Now this is very important. You can either go down 1 tree, okay, and if you really commit to it, you can go all the way to the bottom. You get the best spells for that tree, you know, they are very powerful, better than the previous ones. But if you commit to 2 trees instead of 1, you can't get all the way down. But what you do get the ability of doing is comboing those 2 trees together. So if you're a wizard once again and you use a fireball and you commit it to the divine tree, which is the healing one and buffing one, what you can do now is when you use a fireball, you have a third option. So you have a bigger fireball to follow it up, then you have a fire blast to do some AoE damage, and you have a divine spell that doesn't do as much damage as the bigger fireball. It doesn't do any AoE damage, but it either shields, heals, or buffs people around the target. Doesn't that sound cool? I think it does. I think it bloody does. Now imagine all 3 classes. This is why I only focus on 3 classes at the moment, because this would be really complicated to code, you know, and do and balance. That's why I don't want to have 11 classes using this combat system, because that would get really clusterfucky and no one would have any idea what the opponent is gonna do, you know, for instance in skirmishes or arenas or whatever. That would be really complicated and I don't want that, you know. But this combat system I think would be very interesting. Okay, so once again, if you think this would be a good idea and you would play what I just described, if you like the combat system and it would actually, you think you would enjoy it, give me a like. And if you just think that this is bollocks and it would be dumb, boring, just give me a dislike. Once again, no hard feelings. Even if you like the video but you wouldn't play the game, just give me a dislike. I need feedback, you know, to know if I'm going towards the right, you know, direction or not. But anyway, thank you a lot for watching, and I am very interested to see what you come up with, guys, in the comment section. Bye bye.